Hey guys, this is Goose.
Okay,
Uh,
so we won the
I'm
die roll.
watching Calm's
We
game
have nine
versus the kid.
accused,
I
and
asked him if he mind if I would do some commentary, and he said, "Yeah, sure, go
uh,
for it."
they will have king's hand, and I think that we are going to pitch. Um, yeah, hold on, I need to. I am recording my thoughts so that you can diss me after. Okay. Um,
So I'm
so
curious to see what Calm's
we will be
thoughts are here.
pitching um Warlord maybe because it's kind of shit. This can block their hand. Um, I have a
Interesting that he's thinking
6 and
about
1.
tossing Warlord. Me personally, I think I would toss Assassin and try to win with Warlord on the eights, turning into a nine with my Elder on his queen. A big reason I would want to do this is I don't think I have enough pressure tossing any of this and holding on to Assassin. Um, it's honestly not a great hand.
Okay, so we keep 6 for sure, and the question is, do I need um, that many ways to counteract their queen? Uh, so you can go 5 hand accuse self, let them play something mystic hand, which is like an obvious thing, but I think I'll still click go first. I will not mulligan, but instead I will put. So I like double soldier
So I
because you
like that
can
he's going first.
give more pressure into sevens. Maybe I can just play this as a 7, although it kind of feels bad. Um, So they have 2 Inquisitors, so I can't leave Assassin in my hand. So I'm gonna be putting this on the bottom. Uh, so I think, and I'm not sure, I think that like just discarding 7, knowing that I'm playing into 1/9 is fine. And I'm basically forced to Successor Assassin because I'm playing against 2 Inquisitors.
All right. I think we're going to pause here. Um, I like that Calm has chosen to go first here. Um, considering, let me back up here. Considering that the kid likely has 2 Inquisitors, um, if we were to go first here and successfully hit a soldier, um, out of all of these cards, the kid would only be able to play one of his eights or the nine, or he could oathbound out a card, which is possible. He might try to oathbound Inquisitor right away, but that's very costly, especially if you're not sure if the assassin is even in their hand, and if he has King's hand already in his hand. That'd be uh I think a little bit of a waste. So I think a soldier first here, trying to call for either a judge or probably a judge. Something I like to do is when I play soldier, generally it's to make sure that you can't play an inquisitor, can't play a judge, or can't play a soldier. And considering that he has both soldiers here, all you'd have to do is call out the judge. And if he has it, then congrats, you have a 7. But if he doesn't have it, then the best he can do is play an Oathbound or play a Sentry. So by calling out Judge at worst, you miss and he either plays a 6 on it or a set or an 8. And at best, uh, you now have a 7, and he has to play an 8 or a 9 on it. Um, or he could, flip and trade Assassin for King's Hand and whatnot. But then he activates your Mystic, right? And he doesn't want to do that. So I like going first here. Um, I think that's the right choice. However, I would toss the Assassin and I would keep the Warlord. There's two reasons here. The first, tossing Assassin, he has three answers to it, or we're assuming he has three answers to it: two Inquisitors and a King's Hand. Um, Even if you manage to get the Mystic off on either the 8s or the 4s, he has the other one to fall back on to use as a counter to the Assassin. Um, on top of that, whether it's in your hand or not, he still has to respect it to some degree. Um, it's very rare. I think Simbu is the only player who will ever flip who does not have like some sort of safety mechanism in his hand to like deal with the assassin. Um, and so tossing assassin is almost as powerful as just holding it in your hand. And it could even be more powerful because now you don't have the two, but he still wastes cards like Inquisitors on it, and might even try to use the Judge to assess whether you have it in your hand or not. On top of that, so keeping the Warlord. So why do we keep the Warlord? Well, the Warlord becomes a 9 if you manage to get his queen out, and if you manage to get his queen out and play the Elder on it. Um, Now he might have Zealot, which counters the Warlord, and there's also Oathbound. But if you were to have a win condition in this hand, one of them would be outlasting him with Fool, which it's really not going to happen if you're going first, unless he Oathbounds out a card and you're able to get uh, a free Fool down, or if you trap him in a way where your Warlord becomes a 9 and he no longer gets to play his 8s on it. But even so, even if it's not like a win condition, it's an 8 in your hand. You'll be able to play it on any card. Um, so you're more likely to get your hand emptied, allowing you to just reduce it down to a 1 point loss. But um, let's see what Calm does here.
And then we start with 5 accusing, 7 disabling King's Hand, and that's the plan. I don't know how good it'll be, but let's see. It's going to be spicy for sure. I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to see how I die.
I also want to point out, like, this is not a good hand. Like, it's 0-0. This is not a good hand. And I appreciate the fact that Calm is looking at this and be like, well, let's just make the best of this, right? I'll typically only try to mulligan on a hand that's definitely going to lose and give 3 points to the other player. And he's opting to do the same here. He's like, I'm going to hold on to my mulligan. I can get worse hands in worse situations where it's like, imagine getting this hand and the kid only needed 1 more point to win. Like, that's when you would mulligan. Um, the fact that he's like holding onto this here and he's like, hey, like, let's see how well I can play this hand. I really appreciate that.
Okay, so we go 5 play with ability. We ask for King's Hand.
All right, so does he have the King's
I mean,
hand?
it's gonna be so fucking obvious.
So he has the King's hand. Are we gonna disgrace
So
the
fucking
soldier?
obvious when I'm playing.
So we're definitely
But we'll see. I
showing
mean,
like,
we
hey,
have a plan. Let's stick to it.
hey, I'm gonna mystic your stuff. What you gonna do about it, bud? But that also opens us up to some sort of counter, um, some sort of retaliation. So whether it be an inquisitor, maybe the kid decides to
I mean, this
judge,
telegraphing Mystic so hard, but
and
I
then
don't give a shit.
inquisitor.
Um, uh,
This does telegraph.
so they
Ooh.
go Inquisitor.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying about the kid has to respect your assassin here. Whether it's here, you've discarded it, it's here, or it's here. He has to make sure, or like to some degree, he has to make sure that it's not just going to get played. He might also even be trying to pull it from your hand so that way he can use his a sentry. I'm assuming he has a sentry. Um, to pull it back into his hand. Um, so he might be looking for some shenanigans, but at the end of the day, you not having assassin, you having assassin in your starting hand means that he needs to play around it to some degree. Unless he had just such big numbers that he knows like, oh, I don't got to flip.
No reaction. Calling Assassin. So now we go Mystic.
So now we're gonna mystic, and we're gonna mystic
Play with
eights.
ability.
I'm assuming here.
Disabling
I think mysticking
eights.
eights makes sense.
Right.
You know he has the
Mystic.
king's hand.
Play with ability. Disabling eights.
And does he let it go through? He does not. Okay. So this tells me two different things. This tells me that A, he probably has the sentry. Because there's no reason that you would sacrifice your eight. Like even though it is a 3 on the board, it's still an 8 in your hand, which means that you can play it on just a normal warlord, a normal oathbound. You can play it on a buffed soldier. Like there are all these cards that you can still play your 8. Like it's still a good card. Um, and it also tells me that he probably has another inquisitor because if you mystic his eights instead of if he allows you to make that play and then flips because he knows you don't have the assassin in his hand. So we know he's probably got a sentry and he's probably got an inquisitor.
What the fuck happened? Oh, the king hand. My thing, and it's my turn again.
And so now it's
So
your
do we
turn. So
flip
now
for
you would have a chance
assassin?
to
But then we don't have
exactly
enough
flip and get your
pressure.
assassin.
We're gonna have to 6-1 soon. But now we can actually go. They must have pitched another. Must have pitched another guy. So I can go like 5 into Oathbound. The problem is that they can flip then I fool into 5. Maybe, I don't know. Let's go 5.
I honestly
Play
feel
with ability. Let's choose Oathbound. Nothing
this is
happened.
crazy.
Balls. Okay, we're dead now. Didn't block any of their cards, and now they basically can, like, I don't know, play a judge or whatever. I don't care.
So you missed the oathbound call. But here's the thing about assassin again. So he knows assassin isn't in your hand. So it's one of these two cards. But he has to decide, am I going to flip on this one on this non-buffed soldier, like for a card that might not even be in play? Him not knowing where the assassin is such a big deal. And so that's why I'm saying that even if you have the assassin in your hand at the start, if you feel like you're not really going to be able to get an assassination off because maybe they have too many answers or the face numbers on their cards are just so high, it still has value in the fact that your opponent doesn't know where it is, and so they don't get to just simply flip without thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, we tried.
Um, Missing soldier here, it hurts for sure. Um, I think it makes his judge a little bit more powerful because now he can throw a judge down and ask. So he plays judge and asks for warlord, um, which is good because now he doesn't get to just anti-chamber. Uh, well, actually, I don't know if he would anti-chamber anything. I think he used it purely for scouting reasons here. Um, because had he used it, I guess he could have um, used the Inquisitor here, because then if he inquisits out, uh, if you flip, then he inquisits for the
Okay, this
assassin,
is
and then
this is tough.
if you don't, he can
Judge saying Warlord. So Warlord
inquisit
is
for the Elder,
here.
which is pretty devastating for
So
you.
Warlord is there. Warlord. Did you have Sentry's Tale? Oh no, hold on. I discarded Warlord. I'm so stupid. Okay.
I used to get Warlord and
So you go
Sentry mixed
six,
up all
no
the time,
effect.
so it's kind of funny that I'm
Then we
not the only
have
person
a
who
way
caught this
to
mixed
answer
up.
the Queen. Like 2 ways to answer the Queen. Maybe we just flip here. Let them go again. And then
I
we
think
have
you have to
answers to
flip here.
basically everything, including like 6-1.
Kind of have to hope he doesn't have the Inquisitor. And if he does, he does.
Like if they can't flip the king, we got their king. We got their hand out. So
yeah, okay, and that
why me?
kind of sucks. But
So we can go assassin, and they mean
so
that
now,
they're gonna flip. Disgracing assassin, which means that I'm gonna be able to play the fool.
yes, because here, so he doesn't have Oathbound, so this can be a queen, a sentry. Oathbound's not in hand because we missed it with our soldier call. He probably doesn't have Elder because he's either tossed it or it's here. And then the other one is probably a zealot. So like maybe a zealot's here or here, and the other one can be oathbound. Either way, we really just know that he doesn't have elder. So the question is this a zealot, or an elder? Um, he has to flip here because if he plays his queen on this, then you can just play your elder. And then if he plays anything on that, you can oathbound fool the queen back. If he simply flips on your elder, then you can just fool the queen back. Which means that he has to flip now. And that way you use your fool for just either an inquisitor or a soldier.
I fucked up with the second inquisitor. Shit. Was there another way? I don't think so.
I don't know
they have to flip here, right? Oh no, they actually don't.
I don't know if you could have avoided the other Inquisitor.
Because my 6 doesn't work on 2, so I won't be able to do 1. So I'll be forced to play 3 into 6-1, take Assassin? But it's not gonna do anything. Because their king is gonna be flipped. Oh, that's shit. Anyway, like... we are in for the ride. They flip it. Okay, let's see. Oh, so now they have queen. They decided to counter my spell, by the way, which would have been disgraced. So it would open anything for them. open anything for them. So that means that they probably actually also have a sentry. We may be forced to play the fool here. Let's see, fool, take Inquisitor.
Yeah, you're in a pretty rough spot here.
Fool takes soldier. Nothing works. Nothing fucking works. And my opponent really is not a fan of Zealot, by the way. If I remember correctly, they like to like exile Zealot. So that I don't know. Let's just not play around it.
Which isn't necessarily true.
We know that this is not in their hand.
He
So
could have
this
had
is
Oathbound
here.
face down.
Or there, I don't know. So they have 3-8-9. 3-8-9. So we can go full take. This force a 3. Shit.
Unfortunately, the fact that Oathbound
fuck.
can be in play is actually pretty bad for you.
Full this. We could just fuck. If
he
go,
has an Oathbound, then that actually
we can go
really
6
hurts
no
you.
effect.
Because then he can play it.
They'll have
you
to
can't
go
play
8,
your Oathbound on top
and
of
I
it.
die. So I have to go 1 take. Is there a way? Is there a way around it? Go 3. They go 3. Oh no, they have Zealot in hand, by the way, because this is useless for them because they have Queen.
I don't
and
think it matters too much which
there.
one of these you pick up.
Thinking.
Because let's say you full back the soldier.
Shit.
The only cards that are going to be played, he's never going to just play the Queen, allowing you to play Elder. I don't think that he would play Sentry, allowing you to Oathbound Soldier, which then he wouldn't be able to play his Oathbound on the buffed soldier, allowing you to empty your hand once he plays the Queen and you play Elder. So basically, you're gonna full back either a 4 or 5, and then he's gonna play an Oathbound if he has it. Otherwise, does it matter if he plays anything else? So, like, let's say he plays a Zealot. I would say, like, so let's assume that he has a Zealot. Then I would say pulling an Inquisitor back would be more important. Because now, when he plays his Zealot, you can force the Queen out, and you can either Oathbound Elder just to empty your hand, which is probably what I would do. You don't. It really depends on if you think that he has a sentry or not, and just the way that he king's handed for 8s makes me think that he has a sentry. So he either has Oathbound or he has Zealot. And in the best case scenario, he has Zealot, and it makes a difference. So you pull the 4, because if he has a 6, then it doesn't matter what you pull.
So they have fucking. So they have Zealot.
You always play
to
fool here because
6.
if you play an Elder, you're probably never going to get to play
good
fool
for
here.
us? No, it's not. So we are forced to play the fool here. We could take Inquisitor, then they play 8. We can't play Oathbound, and we die. We are dead. Nah, I'm just deterministically dead. But was searching for a line. Okay, so let's go. Let's go full. Play with ability.
Yeah, I would go with the Inquisitor. There you go. So now, if he plays a Zealot, you can
Got back in
You can
Visitor.
pull the queen from his hand. Assuming it's queen. He might not have queen. There's always a chance. For all we know, he could have Zealot, Elder, Oathbound.
Wait, what? How the fuck do they have Oathbound? Didn't they? They had. Oh my god, fuck! They had Oathbound, um, as a successor,
It's so funny how Oathbound is the biggest counter to
and they're
Oathbound.
blocking my 4. Shit, this is game. This is game. This is game. Yeah, now they play 8. I mean, they can fuck up though. They can. Well, I mean, not really though. They have like double blocker for my hand. Doesn't matter. Sorry for.
Nobody should ever say
so
sorry
much
to the
time.
kid for taking time thinking about their move. We all know how long he takes. It's not a short amount of time. But we love him anyways.
Let's see. People can fuck up, indeed, but I don't think my opponent will. What a game, though. What a game. What will happen to the throne when
So,
there are so many cards?
for anybody who might be looking at this and thinking like, okay, well, what is the kid thinking here? Like, why is he not just playing it? Consider the cards that are still in play from the kid's point of view. So he could have Elder, Inquisitor, Warlord. If we're assuming that he has Sentry and Queen, then Elder can be played on Elder can just be played on the Queen. So why doesn't he just play the 8? Well, if the Zealot also happens to be this face down card, then he's probably contemplating right now, do I swap for another card? Is there any card in this court that I can swap with my Sentry to pick up and beat Calm? And the answer is no. And in any case, it would actually just make his day worse, because if you throw a queen up here and take the Inquisitor, you've just turned a 7 into a big scary 9. So that's the only thing I can think of that he's probably contemplating. Trying to think if he needs to play around the Zealot and what he should do. And what he would realize is, if he has the Zealot, there's nothing he can do. So you just play the 8.
Yeah, game sure is fun to think about. That is true.
And there you go.
Yeah, 8 is correct.
So there you go. Considering I talked to Calm about casting this game, or at least like giving my thoughts on this game through the perspective of his hand. And he said he was totally fine with it. I think he also told me that he's not played against anybody who had a non-zero amount of games played. To go from playing people who are playing for the first time to playing against the Ben Dodd, the kid, uh, that's quite a jump. And I think he actually played very well. He almost got everything down. Had the Zealot been here instead of this Inquisitor, he would have won this hand. And it's like this was not a pretty hand, guys. Like if we go back and look at it, this is not a good hand. There's no nines, there's no eights. The best thing is that you have assassin and fool, but like the assassin isn't even really a great card here. He had because the kid has like three different answers to it. He's got some high cards to deal with it. Um, all things considered, I think Calm played pretty well. He could have easily been 3-pointed here, um, and he managed not to. I want to go back to this point. So I want to point this out because the way I would have played this game would
But
have
it's
been
good.
um, I would have tossed the assassin and I would have held on to the warlord. And in this situation, it really would not have made a difference at this point because he would have. So the kid would have inquisitive for the assassin, he would have missed, and I would have to choose: do I play my oathbound or do I play my warlord? Now the problem is if I play warlord or play my oathbound, the kid knows like, hey, if I play this 8, he doesn't have anything that he can play on top of the 8. So um, you get 3-pointed there. So your only real option is to play the 7 on the floor, which kind of puts you in the same spot. It gets flipped on, and then you have the same cards. So what could have Calm done different here? And I actually think, as with most of these games, his big mistake, if I were to say there were any, was really disgracing his own. Uh, it's not a 5; it's a 7 here that needed to be contended with. Um, and maybe he's doing this because he doesn't want the kid to just kind of flip on it because he's got this assassin here. So he doesn't want him to suddenly flip while he doesn't have assassin in hand. Um, but in doing this, he could have forced out quite a few big cards, um, namely like a sentry. He could have forced out. I don't think Kid wouldn't have played a king's hand, but he could have played like a sentry. He might have played a queen, which then you know Calm could have played an Elderon, and it like just becomes a completely different game from that point. Because now, uh, if Queen ever hits the board, it's Calm's game, pretty much. Because um, at some point, the kid is probably going to flip, and that's when Fool's going to come out. Because again, you have Assassin in your hand, even if it's discarded, because it's there. He has to respect that. So whether you maybe he plays Queen and you play an Elder, and then he pulls your Inquisitor out, or maybe he tries to pull the Assassin out. You don't have it. Now you can play yet another soldier on top of that, and it like you could really just you can do a whole lot with this hand. But I think the big mistake here was really trying to force the Mystic to work early on. Maybe a little bit more patience would have worked out for you here. But on that, great game. Um, I I'll probably do more of these where I just like analyze a hand. I know there's a channel of what would you do in the Discord. We used to use that a lot. That's actually a place where my brother Yeti and I we looked at a lot. We'd play out the hands, and we actually found there's quite a few hands that you can like seriously get away with um, if played correctly. And it really opens up a whole lot of doors for you. So if anybody wants to like record their games and ask me to do some commentary on a hand here or there, I'll do what I can. But record your games. I want more Imposter King content. So this is me doing my part. But other than that, as Simbu would say, stay royal.